All right, Ty. Based on those conversations that you've had with those various writers and based on your own perspective on this football team, they're going to spring practice here. And
Yeah.
what do they need to work on? What
Uh,
are the priorities?
oh my gosh. They're going to be without Drew Sanders. And I made a comment a couple of weeks ago. Some people didn't really like, but I said, you don't have another Drew Sanders on defense. And they don't, Mark. Drew Sanders was a big-time 5-star, went to Alabama. He was good enough to get some time there. And then, thank God, thanks to Michael Schur and Barry Odom, you pull him here. And he was outstanding. I mean, he graded out high as a guy that could cover. And obviously he could pass rush when they lined him up off the ball. When they lined him up out in the flats, shooting off the line of scrimmage, he could chase down quarterbacks. I was a little shocked that the NFL Combine actually has him at 6'4". Standing next to him, I would have thought 6'6". Of course, he's got cleats and a helmet on, but very long torso, looked like he had long arms, really good reach, something that's so important for these edge rush guys. They don't have another Drew Sanders on this defense. They do, however, have a potential who I think could be, by the time he leaves Arkansas, an All-American caliber linebacker in Christopher Paul, who is a freshman All-American. Now, he's smaller. He's not going to, I mean, who knows, but he's not the kind of guy you're going to expect to line up off the edge and rush the quarterback. He's going to play that. He's going to be more on the ball. He's not Drew Sanders, but he is a terrific linebacker. 6'3", I forgot his weight, 235 maybe. Really active kid, smart, good head on his shoulders on the field, just a terrific player. I mean, he stood out in camp. He stood out in practice. Really good player. Did not shock me when he made freshman All-American. They've also got Jordan Crook. They've got Manny Powell. They've got some names at linebacker, but that is going to be a spot to keep an eye on. I mean, listen, you asked me, I'm going to tell you they're all spots to look at, to keep an eye on. But I would say areas of concern, I would probably say tight end on offense. Trey Knox transferred to South Carolina, and that was I think that was a pretty significant loss. When you look, they're going to have to lean on probably either Nathan Bax, or they're going to have to rely on a freshman or a redshirt freshman, Ty Washington. So there's a lot of questions at tight end for me. But wide receiver, I love what they did in terms of recruiting there, Mark. I mean, they went out and they got this Tyrone Broden kid out of Bowling Green who's 6'7", 6'6", 210. Isaac Tesla. I think it's actually pronounced Tesla, but I don't know. Tesla's just sounds cooler. Tesla was, I mean, if you watch his videos on YouTube, I posted something a little while back on Twitter. That dude, he looks like he has a catch radius very similar to Treylon Burks. And ironically, he's similar in size. Now, I'm not comparing him to Treylon Burks, so please pump your brakes before you start coming at me with, how dare you compare him to Burks. But he very similar measurables in terms of, he's rumored to be a low 4.5 guy. Well, that's what Burks ran at the NFL Combine. Rumored to have a 40-inch vertical. He's got a video where he's just making these one-handed grabs. In another video, he's beating DBs who take an angle on him, and it looks like they have a pretty good angle, and he's still doing a pretty good job of beating them. Now, again, I don't know how legit that 4.5 40 is, because coming from a small school, that's a hand time 40. So he might be slower than that. I don't know, but he's pretty athletic. He's definitely got a great leap. If you watch him, good. He looks like, from highlight videos, he looks like he's got pretty good hands. Tesla's a guy that a lot of people are excited about. Tyrone Broden, again, that tall wide receiver, lengthy. They also pulled Andrew Armstrong, another wide receiver, out of Texas A&M. It's not A&M. It's like, I forgot. It's some small school out of Texas. But Andrew Armstrong, 6'3", 180 pounds. But I'm still concerned there because you don't have a lot of, there's no proven depth there, right? You don't have someone that you look at and you're just like, oh my God, this guy, potential first team all conference, second team all conference. They don't have that we know of yet. So I've got questions in certain areas on the offense.
Broden, 7 touchdown receptions, 32 catches there at Bowling Green last season, 74 catches in his career.
Yeah. Oh, someone asked me. I'd love to know what Ty thinks of the coordinator situation for the Hogs.
I don't know if they're alluding to anything in particular that's happened or just your assessment of both sides of the ball.
So we know they Barry Odom went to UNLV. He's a head
Yep.
coach over there. And then they lost Kendall Briles in a very bizarre situation. I still don't know what to make of that. It was so strange. I guess Sam Pittman didn't like that he kept his name out there, I guess, to be for someone like TCU to come and, offer him. Or I really don't understand that really what really happened in that situation. Very bizarre. I think TCU got themselves a pretty good offensive coordinator. Dan Enos, and I guess I haven't talked to you since they hired Dan Enos. I'm just now realizing that. We know he was here in 2015, put up incredible numbers. I mean, Brandon Allen, oh my God. I really think Brandon Allen could look back on his career and go, without Dan Enos, I'm not sure I'm still in the NFL. Now, him as a quarterback developer, that's what Dan Enos does. He develops quarterbacks. That's what he does. He was at Maryland the last couple of years, somewhat balanced attack. He had Tua Tagovailoa's little brother as a quarterback at Maryland. He's not an offensive coordinator that's on an upwards trajectory. So a lot of Hog fans not super thrilled that he's back. I think it's an interesting fit because KJ, who's a proven quarterback in this league, we know what he is. You know what you're getting out of a KJ Jefferson. The backfield, Mark, is just loaded. I think this is one of the top 2, top 3 backfields in the SEC, and that's saying a lot. The offensive line situation, we'll see where they're at. They're going to be without Dalton Wagner, without Ricky Stromberg. Those are 2 interesting losses. Those are 2 guys that could get drafted. Stromberg certainly will, I believe, get drafted. We'll see about Wagner. He's kind of got his work cut out for him there, tight end, wide receiver, like I just mentioned. I see that as a year one. To me, I'm expecting pretty good numbers. Again, you have a leader in KJ, a guy that knows this league now. He's been a starter for 2 years. His redshirt freshman year, he started on the road against Mizzou and put up great numbers, was fantastic against a pretty salty defense at the time. Comes back the next year and puts on a show, and then this last year, he was obviously really good. Dan Enos, it feels like he's walking into a pretty good situation when you talk about the backfield and the quarterbacks. And I think the offensive line should be better, or at least close to being where they were at last year. And they kind of fell apart there towards the end of the season. I like the hire year one. After that, Mark, I do not know what to expect. I really don't. I don't know if this is a good long-term thing or not. If he's here for 4 years, let's say 3 years, right? Kind of the average lifespan of a coordinator at a place like Arkansas. I don't know if it'll be a good ending to his story or not at Arkansas. I don't know if he'll leave it better than the way he found it, because Kendall Briles did a pretty good job here. I had issues with him. I certainly did. His red zone numbers were not good. Scoring offense, really, up until the bowl game, was not good. Now, the bowl game, you looked really good because you played a typical Big 12 defense. You should rack up touchdowns and offense against a Big 12 defense. And they did that. So his numbers were a little bit inflated. I think overall Kendall was at least a pretty good offense coordinator, maybe even peaking on a really good coordinator for Arkansas. I did have issues with him in the red zone and his scoring. They were very up and down, not real consistent there. Dan Enos you want to say he's got big shoes to fill. Year one, he could fill them. After that, I don't know. Now, for the defense, Travis Williams, he's an up-and-comer. We know he has history with Auburn. He was down at UCF for a couple of years, known to be a really good recruiter. He's known to be a good players coach. I love that they brought Marcus Woodson on to be a co-defense coordinator who's going to help with the secondary. They've also brought on Darren Wilson, who's going to help out with the secondary. He has history. I couldn't tell you. I know he's with Southern Miss for a little while. They're really trying to tackle the issues in the secondary this year, Mark, because they were so bad in pass defense last year. It was abysmal how bad they were. It was really tough. And they're trying to address that. And I really think Sam has done a good job of at least trying to address it. It may not work out. We don't know. But Marcus Woodson apparently has had quite a bit to do with Florida State's secondary and their coverage plan last year. I sound like I'm selling you cell phone coverage. The Florida State cell coverage was fantastic last year on the field. And they believe that Marcus, I mean, from what I've read and listening to Florida State fans and watching them on Twitter, they feel like Marcus Woodson had a lot to do with that. So he's going to come over. He's going to help with that at Arkansas. You've got Quincy McAdoo back, right? You've got some pieces back. They've got Hudson Clark back at middle safety. Dwight McGlothern, who's considered, according to Pro Football Focus, as one of the top corners coming back in the SEC. They should be better in a lot of areas. Now, I don't know if they're going to be better at getting after the quarterback because, like I said, you're without Drew Sanders. You're not going to have that elite edge rush guy. You've got Landon, the young Jackson. Is that his name? Am I farting on his name? The defensive end from LSU. It's been a while since I've talked about him. Huge guy. They've got him back. He'll be a redshirt. What is he, a sophomore? But the defense is going to look different. And the offense is going to look different. You're going to see more pistol formation, right? You're going to see Enos has implemented RPO. I was watching his Maryland film. He has implemented RPO into his offense. He has adapted his offense. I think something he's really good at doing is calling the kind of offense that the offense is capable of running. Whatever kind of personnel he has, that's what he's going to try and utilize. He's not going to just straight up stick with one particular brand. Like he's not like an air raid guy, no matter where he goes. He's going to run with what he can work with. But you will see a lot of pistol, right? They're going to, like I said, they're going to run RPO, probably going to be a run-heavy team again this year. And why not? You're loaded to do that. But overall, I have really good opinions on these hires. I mean, again, the tight end coach, Morgan Turner, this guy was at Stanford and turned out it was an NFL. They're just an NFL product at tight end. That was a great hire for Arkansas. We'll see if these guys can all adapt what they did really well and bring it together and bake a really delicious pie in Fayetteville, because they're going to need to. Fans aren't super thrilled about the Enos hire overall. They're not blown away by the Travis Williams hire. And I don't blame them. These aren't big names, but Arkansas football's not really been in a position to hire those kind of names in a while. Not that they never have been, because they certainly have, but lately they're still trying to build up that reputation. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be a very interesting spring camp. It's going to be, I'm hoping I get some access to it with a press pass. I'm hoping I get opportunities to go see it in person, and can't wait. If I do, can't wait to talk about it. That's for sure.